It's hard to believe that everything green in this valley before us is fed by one of the most toxic rivers in the U.S. It's harder still to believe that the postcard and the dead fish both come from the Salton Sea, and not more than 40 years apart. The Salton Sea, once a vibrant and popular tourist destination, is now a literal dead zone and worsening. With California's ongoing drought problems, the little amount of water keeping California's largest inland sea, quote-unquote, alive, is about to run out, revealing the lake bed underneath. This exposed lake bed is laced with toxic chemical fertilizers and pesticides from the runoff of agricultural fields, and is fed by the incredibly toxic New River. Exposed lake bed from the dry Salton Sea could be blown into the air and make the surrounding county's air quality bordering downright toxic to people.
Nation, and I will give just a couple of these examples. In Southern California, in the Coachella Valley, the Bureau of Reclamation plays a large role in protecting public health by monitoring and helping restore the water quality of the Salton Sea. For several decades now, the deteriorating water quality and reduced water inflow have made the Salton Sea a threat to Southern Californian residents, and eventually the sea could threaten public health in cities all across Southern California.
Fine particulate pollutants from the Salton Sea's exposed seabed would worsen the air quality of the Imperial Valley. With air quality already struggling to meet state standards, I see teachers and peers alike limited by asthma. These pollutants would aggravate their condition as well as possibly develop new conditions in previously healthy people.
So, what has the government done about the Salton Sea? And more importantly, how does it affect us?
As the sea dries and the water level recedes, exposed lake bed will release wind-blown contaminants containing selenium, arsenic, and pesticides. Exposure to these contaminants has been shown to increase the number and severity of asthma attacks, decrease the growth and development of lung function in school-aged children, increase the risk of cardiac disease, heart attacks, and mortality in adults.
Under the U.S. Department of the Interior, the 2003 Quantification Settlement Agreement was the last major discussion and action that involved both the Salton Sea and the federal government. The QSA mandated a reduction in water usage by Imperial County in return for guaranteed aid on the Salton Sea.
This reduction in water usage is the reason the Salton Sea is in such danger. The IID will no longer be able to provide water to the Salton Sea by the end of 2017. This means the critical tipping point for the action on the Salton Sea is just around the corner.
But there hasn't been a lot of the necessary attention on the Salton Sea by the government, despite pledges for action from both State Senator Barbara Boxer and the then Secretary of Interior Ken Salazar.
Recently, the Imperial Irrigation District has been taking steps to provide for the Salton Sea restoration by utilizing naturally occurring geothermal vents as a clean energy source.
The idea behind that program would be to develop the geothermal and use a certain percentage of the funding that's generated by that development to finance Salton Sea restoration.
But the mandate that is requiring energy companies to actually buy the geothermal power is being opposed and politically fought by utility companies all across California.
The only people that really represent us is us. That's it. Mm-hmm. And so we've had a difficult time. It's a definite uphill battle to try to get that funding.
I would say there's a lot of attention. Attention and funding aren't necessarily the same thing, of course.
Because as regulations go and as people go, we get a little bit compliant as, our numbers and we meet our goal. Human nature, everyone gets a little compliant on stuff.
The Quantification Settlement Agreement was over 10 years ago now, but there has yet to have been a full-scale restoration plan for the Salton Sea implemented. If anything meaningful is going to get done, there will need to be more than pledges for assistance and small-scale projects. There needs to be funding and a comprehensive plan of attack that all parties agree with, and that will address all the issues facing the sea. We think that the Salton Sea issue can be resolved. The federal government has given support, both financially and otherwise, in the past.
Given the potential for state and federal funding, I think we're close to being able to make a difference on Salton Sea restoration.
The Department of the Interior has recently signed a memorandum of understanding with the members of the Salton Sea Authority. The goal is to promote increased collaboration between the federal government and the local and tribal entities.
Both the federal and the state government continue to work with the local Salton Sea Authority in devising a solution, and the leaders we've met with are very optimistic.
What has happened in the last couple of years is that we've developed a program that everybody is on board with. We were kind of fractured prior to that, with a lot of different ideas about how Salton Sea might be restored. Now we have a program where all of the stakeholders are on board to move forward with this incremental approach that we're talking about while we design a full-scale Salton Sea restoration. So,
Small steps and incremental programs are in the right direction. Actions undertaken by various government departments under the executive branch have gone a long way into solving the problem. Now, we just need the full restoration, and the Imperial Valley needs it soon.
there's no mistake that it's a complex and difficult problem, and it will take a lot of funding to develop a full-scale restoration program. But by moving forward with this incremental program, we can get a start and move forward now before we have some of the severe air quality and habitat impacts we're anticipating.